Portugal has become one of the most popular destinations in Europe for expats, retirees, and digital nomads. Over the past few years, thousands of people from countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and many others have chosen Portugal as a place to start a new chapter in their lives. And it's easy to understand why. Portugal offers beautiful coastlines, historic cities, warm weather, excellent food, and a relaxed lifestyle that many people find incredibly appealing. It is also considered one of the safest countries in Europe, and compared to many Western nations, the cost of living can still be relatively affordable. But here is something that many people do not talk about. While Portugal is an amazing place to live for many people, moving here is not always as easy or perfect as it may appear in travel videos or relocation guides. In fact, some expats who move to Portugal eventually discover challenges they never expected. Things like bureaucracy, language barriers, housing shortages, and cultural differences can sometimes make the experience more complicated than many newcomers anticipate. This doesn't mean Portugal is a bad place to live, far from it. But understanding both the positives and the challenges is important for anyone considering move here. In this video, we're going to explore the darker side of living in Portugal, the things that many people only discover after they have already moved. If you're thinking about relocating to Portugal, retiring in Portugal, or simply curious about life in this beautiful European country, this video will give you a more realistic perspective. Before we begin, if you enjoy discovering new places around the world and learning about different lifestyles, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Now let's start with one of the first surprises many expats encounter when they arrive in Portugal. 1. Portuguese bureaucracy can be slow. One of the first challenges many newcomers experience in Portugal is the country's bureaucracy. While Portugal is a modern European nation, administrative processes can sometimes move much more slowly than people expect. Things like opening bank accounts, registering for residency, dealing with immigration paperwork, or even setting up utilities may take longer than they would in some other countries. Government offices can have long waiting times, and in some cases appointments may need to be booked weeks in advance. For expats who are used to fast digital systems and quick administrative processes, this can initially feel frustrating. However, many residents eventually learn that patience is part of the process. Once the paperwork is complete and everything is settled, life in Portugal often becomes much smoother. But bureaucracy is not the only surprise that newcomers experience. To the language barrier. Although many Portuguese people speak English, especially in larger cities and tourist areas, the Portuguese language still plays a very important role in everyday life. Outside major cities like Lisbon or Porto, it is not uncommon to find situations where English is not widely spoken. This can sometimes make simple tasks such as visiting local offices, understanding official documents, or communicating with service providers more challenging. For people planning to live long-term in Portugal, learning at least basic Portuguese can make a big difference. Not only does it make daily life easier, but locals also greatly appreciate when foreigners make an effort to speak the language. Fortunately, Portuguese is considered one of the more accessible languages for English speakers to learn, and many expats gradually improve their skills after living in the country for some time. But perhaps one of the biggest challenges people encounter today is something that has changed dramatically over the past few years. 3. Rising housing costs. Portugal was once known as one of the most affordable places to live in Western Europe. While it can still be cheaper than many countries, housing prices in certain areas have increased significantly. Cities like Lisbon and Porto have experienced major growth in tourism and international demand, which has pushed property prices and rent higher than they were a decade ago. Many newcomers are surprised to learn that finding affordable housing in these popular areas can sometimes be difficult, especially during peak seasons. However, as we explored in our previous videos, There are still many cities and towns across Portugal where the cost of living remains much more reasonable. Understanding where to look and being flexible about location can make a big difference for anyone planning to move here. But beyond housing costs, there is another aspect of Portuguese life that can surprise newcomers, and that is the pace of life itself. For the slower pace of life, Portugal is famous for its relaxed lifestyle. For many people, this is one of the country's greatest attractions. Life here often moves at a calmer pace compared to large metropolitan areas in countries like the United States or the United Kingdom. However, for some newcomers, adjusting to this slower rhythm can take time. In Portugal, it is common for businesses to close for lunch breaks. Administrative offices may operate with limited hours, and certain services may take longer to complete than expected. For people who are used to fast-moving environments and highly efficient systems, this slower pace can initially feel frustrating. But over time, many residents begin to appreciate the balance it brings to daily life. The Portuguese lifestyle places a strong emphasis on family, community, and enjoying simple moments, whether that means sharing meals with friends, walking through historic streets, or spending time near the ocean. For many expats, this change of pace eventually becomes one of the reasons they fall in love with the country. 5 limited job opportunities for foreigners. Another challenge some newcomers encounter is the local job market. Portugal's economy has grown significantly in recent years, but wages are still generally lower than in many Western European countries or the United States. For expats who plan to work locally, it may take time to find opportunities that match their expectations or salary levels. Because of this, many foreigners moving to Portugal rely on remote work, online businesses, or retirement income to support their lifestyle. Digital nomads and remote workers often find Portugal especially attractive because they can enjoy the country's lifestyle while working for companies based elsewhere. 6 cultural differences. Like any country, Portugal has its own unique customs, traditions, and ways of doing things. While most expats find Portuguese people to be welcoming and friendly, cultural differences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. For example, communication styles, social norms, and expectations around punctuality may differ from what newcomers are used to. But for many people, these differences are part of the adventure of living abroad. Learning to adapt to a new culture can be both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Final thoughts. Despite these challenges, Portugal continues to attract people from around the world for a reason. The country offers beautiful landscapes, rich history, a warm climate, excellent food, and a lifestyle that many people describe as peaceful and fulfilling. For many expats, the positives of living in Portugal far outweigh the difficulties, but understanding both sides, the advantages and the challenges, can help anyone make a more informed decision before moving. Before you go, let us know in the comments. If you had the opportunity, would you move to Portugal? And if you enjoy discovering hidden truths about living around the world, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos exploring life in different countries. Because sometimes the places that look perfect from the outside have stories that are far more interesting beneath the surface.